What a wild and wacky game in Miami for the second straight year, and the home team once again prevailed. We'll talk about it with Jim and Rodney. Plus,
It's school versus football.
former football players at Cincinnati Christian University says their biggest opponent wasn't on the gridiron, while they say the school doomed the program from the start. And the crosstown shootout looked a little different than usual, but the intensity was the same. I got a Bearcat and a Musketeer with me to break it all down.
From WCPO 9 Sports, this is Sports of All Sorts.
What up? Welcome to Sports of All Sorts. I'm Reggie Wilson. Busy sports Sunday in the Queen City, and in the spirit of optimism, at least one Cincinnati team was guaranteed to end the day with the win. You like that? We'll get to the crosstown shootout in a bit, but we start with some football. Bengals on the road taking on the Dolphins. First quarter, Brandon Allen trying to take a shot. Passes picked off by Xavier Howard. NFL high 8th interception, but it doesn't lead to any points. So a little later, Allen hits Tyler Boyd short, and it's deuces. 72 yards to the crib. Longest play of Boyd's career, his only catch of the game, gives the Bengals a 7-0 lead, so that's good. This is not. Said Boyd only had one catch because this game got chippy. That's an understatement. Allen can't connect with Boyd, and we have some recess on the sideline, pushing and shoving. Howard and Boyd both ejected, but Boyd is called for a flag for throwing a punch that really didn't happen, so make it make sense. There will be more fighting in the second half. Jonah Williams gets carted off with a knee injury. The Bengals only gained 30 yards in the second half and go down 19-7, now 2-9-1 this season.
You know, they did a good job second half. They were playing it differently, doing some double coverage on certain guys, and we weren't able to execute.
I think we held a team to 19 points back-to-back weeks. Doesn't happen a lot in the NFL. Not moral victories or anything like that, but I like the energy that we play with on defense today.
All right, back to talk Bengals is Bengals all-time leading scorer Jim Breach and former Bengals cornerback Rodney Heath. Fellas, how we doing?
Very well, Rodney.
Very good.
Good, good. All right. So how disappointing was that game down in South Florida today?
A loss is a loss. They hate loss. And they've had a lot of them over the last 2 years. This time, it wears on you mentally. So they're always hard. They got off to a good lead. They got off to a lead. They were playing very well on defense. Then the second half, Miami made some adjustments, as Brandon Allen mentioned, and they couldn't. They kind of got throttled after that.
Rodney?
I would say I agree with Jim on that. I mean, at this point, some of the things I'm looking at, I'm trying to look at the reaction from the coach. And listening to how Zach Saylor talked today, and I know he's frustrated as well, and he's a positive guy. But, in the end, you're looking at what are the problems? Why are we having issues trying to score, moving the ball? I get it. The biggest issue is you don't have Joe. And one of the biggest issues we had before was protecting him. So now we're in the situation we're in. So we need to move on and figure out, are you the right guy calling the offense? That's what I'm looking at.
Wow. And you mentioned that offense. They were moving the ball well in the first half, and then things just deflated in the second. What happened there?
Well, I mean, you don't have
They started doubling guys, and then you had Tyler out of the game. A.J. Green he's there, I guess, but it's not the A.J. Green we know, and it doesn't even look like you ever looked to him. But you think if you're doubling a bunch of people to be able to run the ball, and they have been really ineffective running the ball. So I think you can't take advantage of the things the defense is giving you.
Yeah, I'm getting behind the sticks. 2nd and 10, and those situations right here, you can't really do anything after that. So that really put them on too.
Rodney, the defense held back-to-back opponents to 19 points. Usually, that can help get it done. How impressed are you by this unit, especially Jesse Bates?
Oh, man, Jesse is having a very good year. I really think that these guys are finding their rhythm and how they're playing, what they're good at, not so much as just a man. The corner's been playing pretty solid, and had guys been out. And remember, they don't have Trey Waynes also. So I think they've been playing well, but they got to keep going because you're going to have Pittsburgh and Baltimore after that, and really see where they are once they get to there too. And I can't say anything about Andy coming. I mean, he's going to come and try and play well with the Cowboys too.
Absolutely. So I'll ask this just as I did last week after seeing what happened today and what you just said, Rodney. Do you guys believe the Bengals will win another game this season?
I think if they go at every game, you got to believe it's going to win. Because look at New York went into Seattle today and won.
Mm-hmm.
The league is one where you can surprise people. But right now, if they don't figure out how to protect the quarterback and get to the quarterback, it's going to be a struggle.
Yeah. Every Sunday you got opportunity. You have to have that positive mindset, and Zach does have that with how he talks to the players, and but they got to believe that too. And hopefully they can get that win starting next week. So we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. Ever the optimistic bunch they are, but sometimes it's just kind of hard to keep that optimism when you just keep losing like that. Well, we'll see what happens next week, fellas, and we'll do it again then. Have a good night.
All right.
Thanks, Reg.
All right, after the break, we turn our attention to hoops for one of the biggest rivalries in sports. Fifth Third Arena, the place to be. For only a few people, though. But the Crosstown Shootout entertained everyone watching. It's the 88th Crosstown Shootout at Fifth Third Arena. X took the game last year and Travis Steele bought the bar. Chris Volt, he wants to hear none of it. Big Flush and a mean mug ties the game at 9. And how cool is this? Hebron, Kentucky native Adam Kunkel, just cleared by the NCAA yesterday, splashes his first 3 as a Musketeer. He had 6, X up 5. Nate Johnson, also playing his first Crosstown Shootout, scored 10. His 3 gives Xavier a 37-35 lead at the half. Bearcats come out strong in the second. Rap, Ivanauskis from Mount Auburn. Butter, 3 of his 10 gives UC a 5-point lead. Paul Scruggs scored a game-high 20. Tough layup ties the game, and this is a heavyweight fight. So transfer David DeJulius punches right back in the first shootout of his career. He scored 16, UC back up 2. Then Keith Williams playing in his last shootout. That jumper is pure. Team high 18 points. Bearcats lead by 4, but X just too strong down the stretch. Zach Freemantle and 1. 16 for him. Xavier wins 77-69. That's 6 of the last 8 in this series for the Musketeers.
This is why you come to Xavier. You only get one opportunity every 2 years to go to Fifth Third. And we wanted to maximize that. I wanted Paul Scruggs to leave this series being 3-1.
We were mission driven. We wanted that game more than they did. And so our actions showed it.
I hate the fact that we had to play this game with only one game played because I do feel like this team's going to get a lot better. I know it will, but we're not in that place yet.
I just wanted this bad for my teammates. I understand this rivalry, how important it is to many people, and I just wish we were able to come out victorious. But the team that we have and the coach that we have, we're going to use this as fuel. We're going to come back prepared and better.
Woo, chicken skin. You think this game matters? Coach Steele said he was dropping $2,000 at Dana Gardens after the game. Must be nice. Joining me now is UC color analyst and Cincinnati Basketball Hall of Famer Terry Nelson and former Musketeer and CBS Sports college basketball analyst Steve Wolf. Fellas, what's up?
How you doing, Red?
All right, good. All right, so this Crosstown Shootout is officially in the books. What are you guys' initial thoughts after that one? We'll start with you, Terry.
Well, Scruggs hit it on the head. They did want it more. And as talented as Cincinnati is, they have a lot of parts. And they did a good job assembling a lot of talent. It's in the wrong pieces. Last year at the time, the first, they had 30 games scheduled. The first 6 games, they had to get all that analytics and realize that, okay, based on that, Chris McNeil is not point guard. He should not be the point guard. We should put the ball in the hands of Micah Adams-Woods. So I asked Coach this game, I said, how many games will you allow your analysts to come up with a conclusion about making a change? And they said it's game to game. And one thing I thought about this, the initial thoughts that Chris Volt and Rafaelis Evanowskis cannot play together at the same time. They give no rim protection, and they give the closeouts and the ball screen defense is just not there with two bigs in the game, because when they blow by one, Rap is not there to block shots like Craig Scott, Gary Clark, or any of the past Scott we've had. They haven't had to take charges this game. So it was one of those things where you can't just be one-dimensional on one side, and on the other side, they're coming at you. No answers.
And Steve, last year Najee Marshall was money in this game. Scruggs was that guy tonight. How did you like his performance?
Well, I when you Terry talking about the team, the big guys, I thought that Xavier has done a really good job of letting Paul Scruggs be the leader of that team. Last year, Xavier was a ship without a rudder. They didn't have a leader. When Scruggs came into the league, it was really a good team. But what you saw from Young was that Paul Scruggs would take this team under control. Keith Williams tried to do that. But as Terry said, defensively, I don't think that UC took charges in that game. As many times as Scruggs and the guys were trying to get to the basket, nobody protected the rim playing defense. The other thing is that Paul Scruggs played solid defense on the perimeter. So I thought that he really was the key factor in the game. But I don't think this is a real version of UC basketball that Johnny Brandon thinks will be at the end of the year, because, as Terry said, I don't think they have a true leader at the point right now, and they need that. And I think they'll be getting better and better as it goes.
All right, so Terry, after seeing what happened today, it was just game 2, so I know we can't put too much into it, but what do you see UC's ceiling being this season?
Well, I think they have all the pieces. I love their guard play, and I love their perimeter, and I like how they're using Keith. And I think, Tari Eason is going to be a beast. So I think either Tari or Mamadou is going to be inserted pretty soon at that spot, and you bring scoring off the bench, and it helps the pick and roll defense. It helps the floor spacing for Chris Bolt to operate that. You got a guy who's in the top 5 in the nation, field goal percentage. He needs more touches. To get more touches, he's not a mobile guy. He needs space, so you can't throw it to him in traffic. So you got to have perimeter, but they have to have rim protection. Cincinnati has been known for forwards and toughness and grit, and right now on the front line, they're lacking that, and they need some insertion of some people that are going to make plays on the defensive end, and that's all Coach Brandon really cares about.
And Steve, I'll ask you the same, Steve, about Xavier. What do you see them going this season?
Well, I think that playing as many games as they have year to date, getting 5 games under their belt for the Bearcats, even they've had 1. I think it showed. I think what they're going to have to continue to do, the guy that didn't really produce much in the stat category was Jason Carter, but he also was a guy that was defending Vogt. He was mobile enough to defend him and keep him from getting a lot of attempts at the basket. And he also boxed Vogt out. Vogt had 1 rebound, which is crazy for a guy as talented as he is. So, but as far as Xavier, I feel like they're going to get better and better. Travis Steele had a different year this year. Got to figure out how he's going to replace a bunch of coaches and a bunch of players from the year before when Chris left. And now he's got a team that I feel that he has leadership with Carter, under the basket, and with Scruggs on the perimeter. This is a team that shoots a lot better than they did last year. I think they move the ball better. They're unselfish. And like that last play that Carter passed the ball into Freeman, that was an easy take it to the basket, get fouled or make it for Carter. He gives it up for an easy 2. I think that shows a development over the first 6 games of how they're going to be a team.
All right, Steve, Terry, I appreciate you guys taking the time. This was fun. Let's do it again.
Thanks again.
Yeah, but this time with different results.
Okay.
Thanks, guys.
All right, so I want to hear from you. After watching the Crosstown Shootout today, which one of those two teams will win more games this season, and how far will they go? Tweet me at Reggie Wilson TV and make sure to use the hashtag SOAS. A false start. Former Cincinnati Christian football players say they never had a chance to follow their dreams at the school. Their story next. Welcome back. From the preps to the pros, Cincinnati has a proud football tradition. One program couldn't count itself among that pride. Cincinnati Christian University played just 4 seasons before punting on the program a year ago. Keenan Singleton has the story on the players and coaches who faced 4th and long odds every day.
Few items remain to indicate that this was once home to a football program. There's chalk to line the field, a goalpost and a blocking shed on one side, a lineman's chute on the other. This patchy field of grass was actually quicksand to the players and coaches at Cincinnati Christian University. Players like former receiver Craig Wills, who hasn't been back since the program folded back in November of 2019.
I don't know, it brings back a lot of memories, especially like just seeing everything, but it's tough.
The Eagles won just 2 of 41 games over 4 seasons of play. The 10X CCU players and coaches WCPO 9 Sports interviewed all say their toughest opponent wasn't opposing teams, but rather their own school administration.
From the minute I got there, the first thing that I understood about the place was it was school versus football. It was administration versus football every day.
It was no chance U for receivers coach Kendall Roberts and the rest of the Eagles.
You can see like it was no progress throughout the year. So like very quickly, like when you come on campus, you realize that that dream wasn't going to come true.
It seemed everyone had a story to tell.
Have you heard the quarter story? Have you heard about the games where we have to go work at Bengals games?
It's hard to probably pick just one.
From the beginning, football at the small former Bible college was a bad fit, says former head coach Trevor Ziders.
You could tell they weren't comfortable. They didn't feel comfortable, and it changed everything.
There were racial undertones to the discomfort as well. Long snapper Scotty Gorsling played all 4 seasons and knew the color of his teammates' skin caused issues.
At least 70% of our team was African American, and it was bad. They did not like it.
There was a lot not to like about the practice field, too. From the size of it, it wasn't even a full 100 yards, to the size of the potholes.
It is topsoil on top of a landfill that they put cement on.
Broke my foot on that practice field. I got a screw in my foot right now in the middle. My foot got stuck in a hole and it popped, and then it was over.
Injuries happen on the best of fields to the best of teams. Those teams, however, have professionals to care for those occurrences. CCU did not. In their final season, the school wouldn't provide a trainer for several games.
Pray that nothing happens to you. Pray that you're healthy. Pray that you heal. That's pretty much what it felt like.
Those prayers were rarely heard. CCU lost their first 33 games.
Whew, that was part 1 of the 2-part story on CCU. You just heard my next guest, Keenan Singleton, back on the show. Keenan, how are you?
Hey, Reg, glad to be back.
All right, so tell me, how did this story come about?
Man, this is a team that I covered when I first got here to Cincinnati. David Fulcher is taking over as a program, the former Bengals All-Pro. And anytime you see the birth of Genesis something, you kind of want to follow it. Unfortunately, the way CCU kind of turned out, after that first season, there really wasn't a lot to cover. I mean, as I mentioned in the story, they lost their first 33 games. They're playing NAIA, we have big-time football here. So they kind of fell into the cracks, and I kind of forgot about them. But I was looking over some rosters, and I saw some names pop up, and I was like, what happened to those guys? And that's how the story began.
And Kenny, you talked to so many members of this football team. What would you say stood out to you the most during this story?
Man, there's so many stories that these guys had to share. And unfortunately for them, most of them were really, really bad. I mean, there were stories I didn't get to in that story. There was like a stink bug infestation. They had to move their lockers from one facility to another. It wasn't a mile or anything like that, but these are 50-pound lockers that are cumbersome and hard to move. The entire team had to do that. The work in the Bengals games, the buses, there were so many bus issues. I mean, this was really a 5-part series that we had to condense into 2. It's a movie that really needs to happen.
Goodness gracious. So, Kenan, what are these folks who've been cast away if you will, up to now?
A lot of them, fortunately, have kind of landed on their feet. In part two, I did spotlight one player, Thad Chapman, was an offensive lineman. He was heading into his junior year at TCU, and the way that the school is structured, it's a Bible college. A lot of his friends didn't transfer to back home in Tennessee, so he's essentially a freshman again, and he's out a lot of money because he went to school out of state. But a lot of people land on their feet. People have graduated, transferred to other university. A lot of these guys are Thomas More now. Some of them are at Mount St. Coaches have moved on. To a man, fortunately, most of them have taken the positive out of this story and don't really dwell into the negative. But they do remember it, and they did have a lot to share.
Man, fascinating stuff, Keenan. Thanks so much for doing those stories, and thanks so much for joining the show.
Hey, thanks for having me back. Good to see you.
Absolutely. All right, we'll be right back to wrap up the show. Welcome back. It's been real. It's been fun. It's been real fun, but we got to go. Until next Sunday, have a good night and a very blessed week.